Today I'll talk about um, The Surprising Habits of Original Thinkers by Adam Grant. If you're new to the video stream, this is the 21st day of my 100-day video challenge where I try to document myself. Way for me to keep myself accountable to my daily tasks and challenges, express myself to improve my communication skills, to document the things I'm learning, and this is basically a message to my future self. And so, hello, future Ellie. In this episode, I'm talking about Adam Grant. He has a TED Talk on original thinkers here, where what he did was he was approached by a couple of students for a startup idea, and he asked them, "So, are you doing this full time?" They said, "No, we're doing this on the side. We're doing your internship." "Oh, so but you're going to take work on this full time after you graduate, right?" And they said, "Actually, we have some work lined up for us as well after." So it turns out that the company that his students, Adam Grant students, um, started became what would be known as Warby Parker. And apparently, Warby Parker is a online glass eyeglasses company. Was and this one, um, in March 14, they raised 47 million Series E funding, and let's see Warby Parker valuation. Valuation. Interesting that they are an e-commerce brand. I wonder what they did different. They're valued at 3 billion. Wow. They're valued at 3 billion. And Adam Grant's joke that now his wife does the investing. But let's look a bit about Warby Parker. What are they doing that's different? What are they doing? Okay. So apparently they came from the Wharton School of University of Pennsylvania. They had a seed investment. Shipped more than 100,000 pairs of glasses and had 60 employees. What are they doing different? Eyewear online. Design. Oh, it's custom designed and sell directly to customers through its website and stores. They own. Okay, this is related to the what I was just studying the other day. Owning the value chain. In this case, they're owning the value chain and directly selling. That would mean that they can bring down their costs. They own. They order their own materials from Italy and then manufactures the frames at the same Chinese factories as competitors. Interesting. So Warby Parker, valued at 3 billion, they pivoted, give a buy a pair, give a pair program focused on vision services around the world. They also launched a telehealth service for New York customers to sell prescription. They sell prescription glasses direct to direct to consumer. Glasses was novel to say the least. By cutting out the cost of they cut out the cost of physical stores and have competed with them, or was able for less than $100. They were cheaper. Interesting. This is a nice case study. Warby Parker. And this is another example of value chain. Now going back to Adam Grant. So he this made him study. Adam Grant made him study about what are the hello. Yeah. This made him study what are the habits of original thinkers, just like his students that built Warby Parker. Who are the founders of Warby Parker? So Neil Blumenthal, Andrew Hunt, David Gilboa, and Jeffrey Rader. And what are his findings? What are Adam Grant's findings um, from this?
Take classical composers, the best of the best. Why do some of them get more pages in encyclopedias than others? And also have their compositions re-recorded more times? One of the best predictors is the sheer volume of compositions that they generate.
Okay.
The more output you churn out, the more variety you get, and the better your chances of stumbling on something truly original.
Okay.
Even the three icons of classical music, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, had to generate hundreds and hundreds of compositions to come up with a much smaller number of masterpieces. Now, you may be wondering, how did this guy become great without doing a whole lot? I don't know how Wagner pulled that off.
Wagner. All right. That's interesting. So his hypothesis now is what he's claiming is that, and these are a summary of his points from the Observer.com. So Adam Grant passed on the opportunity to invest in a startup as a student. Uh, what's wrong with my video? What's wrong with my video? Okay. So he calls them the originals. Non-conformist people who not only have new ideas but take action to champion them. And so they're late to the party. It doesn't mean um, you don't need to be the first. Basically, the creative ones don't need to be, but they are the improvers. They bring a product to market, and one who succeeds submit according over 50 categories. Grant didn't think studios e-commerce would succeed because it took too long and got beat to the market, but because he was taking time to do it creatively in a way that would make people comfortable with buying glasses online. So they tested and tested, basically. Um, apprehensive. Originals succumb more to idea doubt than self-doubt and actually leads them to test, experiment, and refine. This is nice. I'm saying it's nice because it relates now to um, a framework that I'm very familiar with as an experienced designer. What makes them scary is failing to try. They know you can fail by starting a bus going back to finish. Okay, so my takeaway here is that this is basically what design thinking has been telling us all along. You know, design thinking, this process. They're empathizing, you defining a problem, and then you ideate and prototype and test. Um, the way he's describing this, the way Adam Grant is describing what happened to Warby Parker is that there was always self doubt, and they kept testing and getting more data to improve their product, and that's a hallmark of design thinking. This process, which is very interesting. It's another case study for um, the design thinking process and not falling in love with an idea immediately, testing it, iterating until you get incremental improvements in keeping keep improving the product or service that you have. And that is how Warby Parker did it. And Adam Grant also points that out by with his example of singers, classical songwriters, with the amount of volume that they create, and perhaps the amount of volume you create, um, you are able to find those gems. You are able to improve your skill. I then now remember, Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours rule, which is questioned by a number of researchers as well, because Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hour rule apparently it doesn't mean that if you take the 10,000 hour rule. So what I'm talking about is Malcolm Gladwell is another author. 10,000 hour rule. So it's from the book Outliers. Factors that contribute to high level success. He has a thesis, and the criticism here is that the idea is if you reach 10,000 hours, you'd be it's an example of successful people, 10,000 hours. But the criticism over this is that if you do not improve for those 10,000 hours, if you do not improve, let's look for it. In practice, they focus on 80 with collected reports. In their paper, they note that 10,000 rule that is used frequent topic populars, but we conducted meta-analysis. We found that deliberate practice explained 26% of the variance. 20 was less than 1%. We conclude deliberate practice simple but not as important as been argued. See, so there's an interesting study that debunks that. Doesn't mean that you have to be 10,000 hours, and it contributes to around 26% of the actual um, improvement. So yeah. Find the amount of work done, but I don't think it's ruled that you do them you will be successful as the Beatles. So it doesn't follow that if you take 10,000 hours, I think my thinking is that you also need to always improve in those 10,000 hours. So you're constantly, there's a measure, there's a metric that you're tracking, that you're deliberately improving to reach those 10,000 hours. Yeah. So that's the structure of my idea right now. Interesting. Interesting stories, interesting concepts. There was some other concept I was thinking of that I tie with this, but I can't remember right now. Anyway, so future Ellie, remember about Warby Parker, about Adam Grant, Adam Grant's TED Talk, how it ties to the theory of the outliers and design thinking. Maybe there's a nice insight that you can gather for this, and maybe it's a case study for future reference. All right, so that's my insight for today. This has been day 21. So I'll type in what I Adam Grant's TED Talk on the on original thinkers. It calls it original thinkers, right? Original thinkers. Thinkers. Talked about Warby Parker. Talked about design thinking. I talked about outliers, outliers, and the 10,000 R rule. 10,000 R rule. Yeah, check that out for your future reference, Ellie. That's it for today. See you again tomorrow. Bye bye.